Cooper III. He had some weight issues. We'll talk about that in a second. Taking on Carlos Leal. Then in our main event, she is the star of stars. She is the biggest female star. Well, let's take that away. One of the biggest stars in the world. Now, here's what our ESPN Plus card looks like tonight, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, the word of the day is opportunity. As we change to show you the odds, kind of MMA betting, minus 200 is our baseline for throwing things into a parlay or looking at them for a straight bet. A lot of opportunities there. Then from 9 p.m. Eastern to 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time, it's all about our main card. You see all the big names, but we proved last year, just because you have a big name doesn't mean you're locked into a victory. You got to go out and you have to earn it, and you got to earn it tonight. Now my partner here at the PFL that does all the betting stuff. He is an MMA handicapping legend. From ESPN, he's the leader of the Duck Army, Ian Parker. And Ian, you proved last week, it's not how you start, but how you finish, and you finished red hot.
I have Chris Wade to start by thanking for that. He looked great against Lance Palmer. The striking, the takedown defense was there. And last but not least, Bruno Capoloza, round 1 TKO. He looked phenomenal. The dominance just continues from last season. I'm looking forward to see if he can do the repeat.
Yeah, and you had Chris Wade at plus money, which is always something we love to see when we're picking an MMA fight. Now, what makes the PFL different than anybody else? Well, we have a regular season. We have a playoff. We have a championship. 10 fighters in each of the 6 weight divisions. 2 regular season fights. Then the top 4 move on to the playoffs, and then 1 lucky fighter. Now, 3 points for a win. You get bonus points for a finish. So it plays into your favor to finish it in the first round, less points for second round, and then less points for a third round finish. But let's start right at the top, Ian. Let's talk about the main event, because Kayla Harrison, as she always seems to be, is an overwhelming favorite. But why? Well, she's a 2-time PFL champion. She's a 2-time Olympic champion. She doesn't even like fighting into the second round. Break down this fight for me.
Kayla Harrison, the juggernaut, the queen of the PFL. Look, she is just the definition of dominance, whether it's an armbar, whether it's ground and pound. You know where the fight's going to go. Yeah, it starts on the feet, but in no time, it gets to the floor. Her opponent, Marina, will come out looking to bring the fight to her. She does have a submission game of her own. She's going to have to pressure Kayla with strikes. In my opinion, is the best way to maybe throw Kayla off for a second. Will that happen? Probably not.
But Ian, we cannot bet her at minus 5,000. We've known that. We've been watching you for years now. So what do we do to bring the number down? It's something that I can wrap my head around.
Well, Coach, this may be the only time where minus 5,000 may be okay, but no, we really can't. You're absolutely right. Although, hey, it's not a bad play. Look, round 1, TKO or KO for me, for Kayla Harrison's the way to go. Last season, we predicted it to go this way. Now, listen. The way I look at this, she gets on top, she grounds and pounds, she sets the bar, she makes a statement. But if it's not there, she's going to take a limb. I'm hoping the TKO comes first.
You know what? I am hoping that as well. All right, so that's the main event. What about our co-main event tonight? And it's the men's welterweight division that is fighting with the women tonight. And Ray Cooper III, he's a 2-time PFL champion, but he missed weight by over 5 pounds. Sean and the boys will talk about that in a little bit. He's taking on Carlos Leal, a huge opportunity. Maybe something's going on with Ray Cooper. We don't know, but the bets will not affect, or the weight's not affecting the bet. Break down this fight for me, Ian.
A Ray Cooper that isn't cutting weight, there's just more power there. In his fight against Magomed Karamov, he was losing, but look, that right cross, it's always there for Ray Cooper. And he has wrestling to fall back on. We just don't talk about it enough. Last season, he won by arm triangle even in the guard. Carlos Leal is a very tough fighter out of LFA. Great striking, good wrestling, but as you see when he swings, his chin is up. He leaves himself open to get hit. And if he gets hit by a Ray Cooper overhand right, that could be the end of the night for him, regardless of weight misses or not.
Yeah, just because Ray Cooper cannot gain any points in the standings because he missed weight does not mean he can't cash tickets for all of us at home, and that's exactly what we expect him to do. Now, the third fight on the main card on ESPN2, another big-time name, Anthony Pettis. Before we get to that, though, I want to know, for the Ray Cooper fight, how are you going to bet it, again, to bring that number way down?
Minus 435 feels a little heavy for me. Now, I may be contradicting myself when we talk Larissa Pacheco in 5 seconds, but I think there's a better play here. Ray Cooper by TK or KO at plus 190. That's a phenomenal number for someone who loves to finish fights and not really having to cut weight. I like Ray Cooper to get it done this way.
And he may have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because of missing weight. Again, we don't know. But fighters have a tendency to do one of two things: be really dominant or really not fight well at all. We think it'll be the latter for Ray Cooper III. Now, I mentioned Anthony Pettis. He's in our 3rd fight of the night. He's also got big-time odds, and he came in last season with big-time hype. He's one of the biggest names in the history of MMA. He's taking on Miles Price. Break this down for him.
Coach, Showtime, in my opinion, is back. Anthony Pettis last season fought Clay Collard, then the eventual Champ-Hushman Field where he lost by split decision. He's on a mission this season. He looks great. Mentally, he seems like he's in the best place he's ever been. Taking on his opponent, Miles Price, who's good in his own right. Good striker, good ground game, but has not fought in 3 years. I think this is an opportunity for Pettis to reestablish himself with a fresh start and get back to doing business.
Yeah, we know ring rust is a very real thing in fighting. Now, I want to bring out something that I've absolutely loved so far, a new innovation in the PFL, and that is your betting big board. And I believe that we can put Anthony Pettis and slide him in to a slot in a 3-way parlay. Can we do that, Ian Parker?
Only because you asked so nicely, Jonathan Coachman. At minus 286, Anthony Pettis straight up. It's just a little concerning for me based on his last 2 fights. Normally, if this was right out of the UFC, I'd say, hey, jump all over this. This is a former champ from the WEC and UFC, but I want to see Pettis getting back to form, so we are going to put him in the first leg of our parlay.
And what about the 2nd and 3rd legs, sir?
Glad you asked. Larissa Pacheco, we talked about this before. Now, look, minus 1,000, I don't know how much true value we're getting here. So if you want to take her on a prop by a KO or a TKO or a sub, I understand. I just cannot get away from the value here. I want her in here. I want the win. So she is going to be the 2nd leg of our parlay. I think she absolutely rolls in this fight. And last but not least, for those of you that are not familiar with Jarrah Salawi at minus 315 over Gleison Tebow, who's a seasoned vet. Salawi won the Challenger Series contract with a flying knee. Brave FC champ in 2 weight classes. He's big for the weight class. Good angles with his strikes, good takedowns. If he can stay off his back, Coach, I believe he is the last leg of the parlay. And look at those odds, look at those numbers.
Oh, you brought it all the way down to a minus 105. You saw in real time how the numbers change when you add names to a parlay. It's a great way to place bets when you have 3 big-time odds. All right, so that's our parlay. What about the other fight that's not in that parlay on the main card? I'm talking about Rory MacDonald, of course, taking on Brett Cooper tonight. Now, Rory came in last season with a lot of hype. He is a former champion in the UFC. Came in, made it to the semifinals, but did not advance from there. So he has something to prove as well. Ian, take me through this one, please.
The Red King, Rory MacDonald, he's back, looks great. I think he's got to start this season the way he did last one, by getting the fight to the floor and using his submission game where he's really at his best. Don't rely on the judges. As we saw in that Tebow fight, he lost a very awful decision, but he is back, and I think he's got a pretty good matchup here. Brett Cooper, such a tough, underrated fighter. Uppercuts, wrestling, cardio. This guy walks forward with no regard, does not care about his own health in order to make sure yours is damaged. So for Rory MacDonald, he's got to be very careful and not get in a brawl.
And we also know, Ian, that in the PFL, you cannot wait to be aggressive because of the bonus points that you could earn with a finish in the 1st, 2nd, and/or 3rd round. So how do you see this fight going?
One way or another, I think someone will not make it to that 3rd round, whether it's Rory MacDonald winning by submission or Brett Cooper catching Rory on an entry with an uppercut. So for me, this fight does not go the distance at minus 190. If you don't have this on your book, I would even be comfortable taking this under 2.5, which I believe the average price right now is minus 150, which is also a very good number. This is not going to the 3rd round, Coach.
Look at Ian Parker looking out for you no matter what sports book you use out there. Ian, a man of the people. Now, these next 3 gentlemen, they are absolutely men of the people, and they break it down like nobody else. Let's send it out to site now and hear from the boys that are calling the fights for the first time tonight, Sean O'Connell and the crew. Sean, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you, Coach and Ian. Loving the way that Parker's parlay gets put together. The betting big board, by the way, looking absolutely gorgeous. Randy, let's talk about Ian's picks. He says Kayla Harrison at almost minus 5,000. He almost was willing to make that bet, but instead he brought the number down by saying Kayla Harrison via first round KO or TKO. For Kayla, that usually means ground and pound. Can you see it happening that way?
I could definitely see it happening that way. Two-time gold medalist, takedowns are on point, ground and pound is amazing, submission skills are amazing. Says in the offseason, she's been working a lot on her striking, as if she needs to be more dangerous. There's that submission with the armbar, here's the takedown from the body lock in the clinch position. The ground and pound is devastating. You do not want this gal on top of you, I can guarantee it. She is amazing. A fully well-rounded fighter and as dangerous as they get, in my opinion.
Kayla Harrison, Ian says, by first round KO or TKO. I don't dislike that bet at all. Let's talk about what he said about Anthony Pettis. Look, Pettis is a favorite, not nearly the crazy number that Kayla is, but Ian wants to see him establish himself. 2 losses last season. The Ducks not super confident, so he put Pettis in a parlay. Say that 3 times fast. What do you think of the pick?
Interesting. Well, listen, Anthony Pettis was not happy about his performance last year. I think he underestimated the competition. I think he underestimated how grueling it is during the season. And you can see, when he's at his best, he is so dynamic. He is so unpredictable. I think he's going to take a little bit off of that unpredictability, a little bit of that flash, and really get back to the fundamentals, to get back to being more of a strategist out there, more straightforward. Don't get me wrong, he's still going to look for the finish out there, no question about it, but I think we're going to see Anthony Pettis take more of a traditional approach here.
I'm going to run backstage and tell Anthony Pettis that Ian Parker doesn't really have a lot of confidence in his return to form. And then when Ian comes to an actual live fight, you know, we're gonna set up that meeting. Fellas, loving the advice so far. We'll send it back to Jonathan Coachman and Ian Parker.
And Sean, don't even worry about it. We can get Ian there in August, no problem, the next time that Anthony Pettis fights. So we've got a nice variety so far throughout ESPN Plus for ESPN2, but here is what the ESPN Plus card looks like. And I tasked my man Ian Parker with the first fight of the night. Let's not waste any time in getting our interest peaked. And that first fight is Vanessa Melo taking on Martina Jindrova. And Ian, as we look at this fight, minus 157, that fits into our number. Do you like this straight?
I do. I like Martina Jindrova here. You know, I'm going to start with Vanessa Melo first. Tough fighter, comes forward, but not enough volume, not enough output. I think Jindrova's leg kicks and her striking and her takedown defense will be key here. She puts on a really good pace. We saw in the Challenger Series, all 3 rounds, just nonstop, kept going. Just really, her gas tank was exceptional. Her strikes were very precise, and she carries really solid power here. I think she gets it done. And Sean, just in case you were interested, Duck Time versus Showtime has a nice ring, but I don't think I'm making that weight class anytime soon. But yes, Coach, I'm going Martina Jindrova and minus 157. I like that play.
Can we just leave the jokes to me, please? Let's not try to get out of your comfort zone. All right, for those of you who missed, we've got a nice little Parker's cross-card parlay we'd like to remind you of on the betting big board. And I believe Anthony Showtime Pettis was your first leg, but there are 2 legs on the main card, Ian, and there is one on the ESPN Plus card. Take me through it one more time, please.
Yes, Coach. So minus 286, Anthony Pettis will be the first leg. Minus 286 right there. Like we said earlier, too high, bring it down with the parlay. Larissa Pacheco, minus 1,000, too high to bet straight up. Even in the prop section, I still just want to get the win there and get that value. Last but not least, the Brave FC champ and the Challenger Series contract winner, Jarrah Al-Salawi over Gleison Tebow as the final one. We almost get even money here on 3 big favorites, and we're going to go with that as our parlay.
And Al-Salawi is the 3rd fight of the night on ESPN Plus, so you got to tune in right from the jump and get ahead of the pay window. One last look at the fights and the fight odds. Again, we start at the top of the hour, 6 p.m. here in the East. Here are the odds. You see at the bottom there, Vanessa Melo, Martina Jindrova. We got a straight play on them, and they will be the first fight from the jump at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Then at 9 p.m. Eastern Time over on ESPN2 and simulcast on ESPN Plus. A lot of big names. One of the most stacked cards in the history of the PFL, and we are delivering it to you tonight right here live on ESPN2 and ESPN Plus. Ian's giving you all the different ways to bet all of these fights. All 5 fights are in some type of play. We're set for our 3rd straight week. For Ian Parker, Sean, and the guys, our entire crew, buckle up. I'm the coach. We're set. Top of the hour on PFL 3. See you then.